It's a super bloom. It's a super super bloom. It's a super bloom. It's a super super bloom. It's a super what? It's a super super bloom. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Super bloom is a rare phenomenon in the California desert when hundreds of thousands of colorful wildflowers pop up after more than a decade of dormancy. The magic of this vibrant blooming is mostly strong winds and lots of rain. Like those hardy seeds riding the wind and patiently awaiting the rain, once we reconnect with the elements that truly nurture us, we rekindle our resilience, our confidence, and our strength. I'm your host, Osha Rose, and in this pod, we explore all things related to the power of the mind and to this physical human existence. We can realize our full potential once we wake up the wisdom in our bones and activate our innate ability to thrive. Let's wake up with joy and be the Shakti in our lives.
My question to you today is that what if there is a blessing and a gift in all of your experiences, even the really hard parts? What if learning how to change your perspective from this is hard to this is easy is actually the whole point of these sometimes terrifying experiences? Like, what if all the tears, all the fears, everything that felt like a hardship, they were all meant to help shape you into the compassionate, caring, supportive human being that you are and you continue to become today? So you are here, you have arrived, and you are so welcome here. I am Osha Rose, and this is the Super Bloom podcast. This is season 2, and I think this might be how we kick it off in the car with my child sleeping in the back, because this is where I'm at right now in my life. I started the podcast in 2021 when my daughter was not even 1 year old yet, and so I currently live on the east coast of the United States on a man-made island, and we left, but now we're back, and this is actually the oldest fishing port in the country. For those of you that are new to the podcast and to where I'm at now, I'm a health and wellness guide. I teach about the scientific and the spiritual ways that we can all approach living, and I call it soulful living. My question to you today is that what if there is a blessing and a gift in all of your experiences, even the really hard parts? What if learning how to change your perspective from this is hard to this is easy is actually the whole point of these sometimes terrifying experiences? Like, what if all the tears, all the fears, everything that felt like a hardship, they were all meant to help shape you into the compassionate, caring, supportive human being that you are and you continue to become today? Like, what would it take for you to be able to show up each day with this intention to learn from what you experience and to see the gift and the blessing in it all? What would motivate you to make that shift? And what if your future self spoke to you and told you what I am saying right now, except she was able to show you what each experience was preparing you for next? What if they shared with you the path would no longer be hard? The sooner you open up to the possibility this is all just a classroom of your making, one big experiment to help your future self be the competent, faithful, thankful, compassionate human you came here to be. And what if, and this is one that I am fully embracing here right now, what if Osha Rose, what if I am one of the many spiritual guides that are going to cross your path to help connect you and guide you towards this soulful way of living? Could right here and right now actually be your opportunity to flip that switch? And what would, so this is the question, what would a flip of the switch even look like right now for you? Like, what would that look like in your life if you switched from feeling like everything is hard to everything is easy? So for me, this is exactly what is happening as I look back from like this future point to when I started recording this new season of the Super Bloom podcast. So creating this first episode today compared to then, I was in a different spot in my journey 6 months ago. I knew I wanted to relaunch the podcast and I knew I wanted to bring it to life with video this time. And after 2 years of my experience producing music, filming, and then editing my own music videos, I now know I have the capacity to do these video versions. We're all getting well versed in ways to capture video these days. These 2 years were, for me, just my time of building up strength, courage, confidence, and I did it through following the breadcrumbs of each creative impulse, like one step at a time. It was, looking back, it was like just saying yes to that friend who told me that he had a connection to a music producer who could help me make some beats. And then I said yes to a project to create a website design for someone. And that was what funded this project with the music producer. And then I just hit record when I started hearing mantra-esque music coming out of me. I thought I was just going to dance to those beats and make like a yoga dance video, but then I ended up singing. And then I said yes to another friend who showed me a free way to get access to this filming gear. Like I didn't know how to film and angle and just what to do to film the music videos, but I just said yes and figured out how to do it. And each step of the way, it just kept unfolding like that. As long as I kept my heart in the driver's seat, that was the key. It's like the road is always clear when my heart is in the driver's seat and my head is in the back seat. And now, because I allowed my creative aspirations to take the lead, my singing, dancing, and video producing are all the main stage of the offerings in my new company. I'm excited. This is just the beginning. These are making video versions of the podcast. I've got a wonderful season batch for you. I can't wait to share it with you each week. It's easy because I know how to edit the video so that we can make it concise and you can enjoy a shorter version of the interview. And then I know what to do to the vocals just to basically compress them so that it sounds good. So singing and dancing, they have to be a part of my work. So you'll hear some songs in this episode and future episodes. I'll do some versions of some of the music that's coming through. But for me, the singing and the dancing, it's like breathing. It's what keeps my heart beating. So I know for sure it's continuing to be integrated into everything. The work I do one-on-one. Yeah. So all of it is related to sound and movement. I can see now I was actually following the path my future self had laid out for me. And today, like, I feel like I'm living a life that I curated for myself, and it just keeps getting better and easier. And I bring up ease again because it literally is this word that carries such a potent frequency. It's a word that helped heal my soul when I was really, really suffering. I last summer marked 2 years almost to the day from when I recorded my the last episode of the Super Bloom podcast. At the time, I was living on this 10-acre property inside of a gorgeous 5-bedroom, 3-story house in Iowa. And I'm positive that I magnetized this house with this mind maker video I made and watched every single day. But my vision only carried me to the physical structure. I hadn't actually envisioned what it would feel like inside of that home. And so I'm not surprised my 18-month planned house sitting gig got side railed by a tree falling in the night, totaling my vehicle. So by August 2023, I was still figuring out whether I was going to stay or go. But I knew when I recorded Time to Shine that it was time to stop dwelling in the past and to move forward so that I could shine my light. Needless to say, moving from Iowa to Massachusetts alone with a 2-year-old may not sound like an easy feat, but it had to be. I knew my attitude about the journey must remain positive in order for it to be a success. So I set my aim to arrive home for a music festival that was in my hometown, and I picked hotels with scenic roads, waterfalls, and pools, and ended up being a 5-day trek. But how did I maintain a positive mindset with our replacement car stuffed to the brim with everything possible that I could take back with me? How did I manage my needs and the needs of my 2-year-old child alone while driving 6 hours a day for nearly a week? I'd say it all boiled down to my mindset, the way I ended each day and the way I started each day, what I said to myself, what I did for my body. Like that to me was how I was able to keep the anxiety and the stress where it needs to be to keep you safe, being alone, but not where it takes over and you can't stay focused. Like I wanted to be able to stay awake, aware, and really just enjoy the experience. See if there was a way for the two of us to just have a fun little adventure together, even though our journey was basically just driving, swimming in the pool, and then just sleeping and driving again. So the way it would work is once we arrived at the hotel, I'd carry in our most valuable items. I'd get us checked in, and then we'd maybe have a little dance party in the room, and then we'd go to the pool and I'd order us some food, and then we'd come back to our room. I'd read a story and we'd go to bed. Sometimes at night I'd read or write in my journal, but I would definitely write in my journal in the morning any fears that were coming up, anything that I overcame the night before on the drive. Like we had some, I don't know, just some weird energy when we were first going through Illinois and Ohio. I was just working through what was coming up and just getting myself back to a place where I was confident and calm and knew that I could do this. I would wake up and I would imagine us arriving at the next hotel at sunset with the rainbow in the sky. And so a full night's rest was also a priority to ensure that my nervous system would be in balance. And when I would rise, I'd start with a meditation before we would get in the car and on the road. Sometimes the meditation would just be me dancing and like stretching, but just quietly or with some soothing music. Other times it might be a seated meditation, like a quiet, no music, or I would just be laying in bed or laying on the floor. But each day I did something to quietly start my day, to do it in a peaceful way. And I put that intention of being present and in gratitude for this new day, for this adventure to be the forefront of my intention and energy. I didn't have these words at the time, but I knew and trusted that each day would support me and my daughter and our highest good. But the most vital part of your day is the start. So for you, what do you do when you rise? What do you say to yourself? How do you care for your body and mind to set it on the course of creation before letting the outside world in? It took the following 2 years for me to get my footings in a new land back home. And as I ebbed and flowed with my confidence in the universe, God, source, to provide for me in every way. So, what I mean by that is I thought I had to push to get a new job and force this way of living with my daughter where I go to work, she goes to daycare, and that's just how it has to be. There's people in my head talking right now when I say that. And it didn't feel right, but it felt like the only choice I had. I just kept telling myself, that's all I can do. That's my only choice. I'm a single mother. There were all these things that was stressing me out and didn't feel like the path for me. But when I realized that if I just let go, all I have to do, literally the easiest thing I could do was just hand over the reins. But I kept struggling with letting go. It was like, this is how it has to be. There's no other way. I got to get a full-time job. Maybe I can get one from home, but even that, I'm still going to need somebody to help me with my daughter. But that just didn't feel right. So at one point I realized the easiest thing I can do is just hand over the reins instead of struggling to let go. Just let go. Know that what feels right is going to guide me. But I kept stressing out. I was like, what if I don't move the needle forward? in my company by this date or that season? Or how will I be able to buy a house or travel? How can I build up enough money to even have a business? There are all these things that I was resisting what is with in my head about money and just the best way to move forward with work. But what I realized, trusting that I don't have to push myself to create a better life, like that to me is what my future self was teaching me. The letting go, the trusting, and just rising in a way, setting the intention in the way, and just trusting, kind of stepping aside, but planting the seeds, knowing what you want, following the breadcrumbs, taking the action, but not feeling like I need to take the reins. I already know and trust that I am being steered and guided exactly where my heart is asking me to go. And I started to build up. There was one part-time job and then another part-time job, and they were both local, and I could bring my daughter with me. I started making connections. I started building back up my confidence because after getting laid off, I don't know, for me, it just kind of, I forgot what I was capable of. I hadn't been working in that environment for about a year at that point, and even though I had 20 years in corporate marketing, I just kind of forgot what I was capable of. And so all of that energy came back, even though it wasn't, full-time work. It was enough work to keep the funds flowing to pay for what I needed at the time. But there was a time in the summer of 2025 where I just kind of lost touch with the routine of waking up, setting the intention, giving myself time to meditate, give myself time to move my body, and actually sleep became something that I longed for. I wasn't giving myself enough sleep, and exercise wasn't even like in the mix for days at a time. Meditation, that felt like a foreign concept to me at that time too. Everything just kind of fell at the wayside, even though I knew what to do. And I let my aims to create something tangible with my company take me out of my healthier routines. And I acted like sleep was not a vital part of my existence. And I pretended that coffee and matcha weren't something my body had told me months before no longer serve me. And I brought on hypertension into my body. And with a combination of a poor diet, the things that I was eating were not whole foods, they were not what my body was asking for. And I had a lack of sleep. Between all of that, my body was telling me and begging me to get back to what was healthy in my lifestyle. And there's more to the story of what and why and when this was all happening in my life. And you'll see in the episodes ahead, when I felt ill in my body, it was actually when I stepped back into the flow of life that the people, places, and experiences actually appeared to help me heal. So I'm still, we're all still in the healing process, the ebb and flow with life and the energy around us. But I can tell you that starting this podcast wasn't a coincidence to what my health and my body were calling and the people my body was calling in at the time. And it wasn't those people, like it wasn't the outside resources that did it that have helped me progress and find the path back to health, but it's my ability. It's my ability to reactivate these innate systems that are in my body. And it was my choice to reconnect with my intuitive guidance system that helped me, begin making choices that were leading me back to health. So that was something really important in these episodes to come. And yeah, I don't think it was a coincidence that I decided to bring these guests on. Guests who were tapped into their divine connection to flow, ease, grace, albeit a constant lesson. We're all in this experience together to learn. So we're all still on the healing and the learning path. But no, absolutely not. Do not believe in coincidence. I believe in God. I believe in source, a loving universe that only wants what is good for me. I believe there's a divine energy that is here to help guide me back to wholeness anytime and every time I feel separate from it. So I am here today to remind you that there are always two angles to be working. You have the mind and you have the body. When you are working your way back to health, it's important to keep in mind this physical and this spiritual energies. You got to work both angles when you're on the path back to health. And what you feed your body, what you feed your soul, what you read, what you listen to, who you talk to, the people you surround yourself with, the environment you live in, the state of the cleanliness, like everything around you and in you equally matter in the process of healing. Take a look around. If you feel off, if part of you feels disconnected from source or this higher, greater power, and just ask yourself, what steps am I willing to take today to tune in to my inner world? What parts of you are already communicating and showing you what your next step is towards wholeness? Take a look, ask yourself. Okay, so that's it for today, but I'd love to share with you a song that I actually sing as part of the end of my day just to help cleanse and clear my energy. And I usually sing it in the shower. And it's one that now she's almost 5 years old, but my daughter also sings it too. And we named it Return to Love. So I'm going to sing the song for you, and we'll see you soon at the next episode. All right, take care. Return to love. Let my energy be clean and clear by the light, and the energy that's been taken from me or given come back to me now, to be clean and clear by the white light. Let my energy return to love. Let my energy return to love. Let my energy return to love. Woo. Sing that 3 times tonight before you go to bed. All right, take care, my dear. See you next time.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Super Bloom podcast. For more information on how to open up your mind and expand your heart and ways to work with Osha Rose, visit osharose.com. There is music videos, community connection, fun ways to learn about the body, the mind, and how they connect. Visit osharose.com.